All right, so let's get started. So we'll just need some blocks for today. And let's start lying on the block with the block under the sacrum. And it's also going to be, at least this is my plan. Sometimes the plan goes off on its own way. There'll be lots of pigeons today, probably. All right. And coming down to your mat. Walk there under the legs. Taking a moment, letting go. Inhale and exhale. All that stuff you don't need for the next hour. And then as you're ready, lifting up, block under the sacrum and sliding the legs out to straight. Taking a few easeful breaths there, just letting yourself rest on the block. Nice and heavy into the floor still. Letting that breath go up into the lower belly. And exhale, pouring out. And then we'll cooperate with the block a little more, bringing the legs into parallel, flexing the feet, reach through the legs, line up the front of the body, into the shoulders and back of the head into the floor. Stretching over the block. And one more deep breath here. And we'll bend the knees, lifting up off the block, taking that out, rolling down, vertebrae by vertebrae, landing on the floor. And then let's come up to sitting. So I'm going to face my end of the mat here because we're going to be going back down to the floor with our shoulders on the block in a bit. So maybe putting the block back there. And here we are sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. And using the arms alongside, I'll just turn around here. Using the arms alongside, lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, a little more space in the hip sockets. Different place in the hips for getting space than when we're stretched on the block. And finishing up with whatever you're doing, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale, drawing up through the center line, pouring down the sides. And both like you're pressing against the wall behind you, And like you're lengthening up and pouring down the wall. And then we'll reach out wide through the collarbones to the fingertips, breathing those arms up overhead. And then reaching up to one side and the other. Reaching down through the sitting bone at the same time. And try not to pull the shoulder up into the ear too much. Letting that lift come all the way from the base of the spine and out the fingertips. And a couple more. And both arms up overhead, stretching out the hands, big press down. And coming forward and then coming up through vertebrae by vertebrae. And then we're going to keep the crossed legs as we go down to the floor again with the shoulders on the block. So we're going to try to stay here with the crossed legs, the Sukhasana. That's not working in your hips. Do a different position in your arms, in your legs. That's fine. All right. Breathing up into the upper chest. And then breathing out through the fingertips, breathing those arms up over. And we'll just hold here, maybe interlocking the thumbs, hooking one thumb under the other so you still have the palms facing the ceiling. You can get a little more pull long and pull wide. And a little bit of pulling the arms apart from that anchor of the thumbs. Lots of space across the upper body. And then releasing the hands. And we will make our way back up to sitting. And changing the cross of the legs. And then we'll do a couple of jellyfish twists. So reaching out wide through the collarbones, to the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms up. And as we breathe them down, we twist to the right. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms down. Let's hold the twist. And breathing 3, 2, and 1. Breathing back up, inhale and exhale. So slow jellyfish compared to sometimes we go on the single breath. Remember, twisting left arms float down with a breath, holding and deepening into that twist. And 3, 2, 1. And let's do that again. Inhale and exhale, lift. Inhale and exhale, twist right and breathing. Inhale and exhale, lifting up in the center. Twisting left arms float down and breathing. And breathing back up in the center, coming forward and over. Big long reach out, landing on the floor, breathing across the back of the body. And then coming up, unfurling the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, back up on top of the sitting bones. And then once again, we will come down with the legs in Sukhasana to the block under the shoulders. Getting yourself settled in there. And breathing out through the arms, stretching them up overhead, hooking the thumbs together so you can get a little more pull. And of course, it becomes a strain to do this with the arms, releasing it, perhaps coming back to this, or just doing a different position with the arms. Breathing into that upper chest, breathing into the whole front of the body. And then releasing the arms and making your way back up to sitting. And we'll disentangle our legs, coming onto all fours. And we'll be making our way to downward facing dog. Doing a couple cats and cows. Anything else you feel you want to do here. And then coming up and downward facing dog, big yawn in the back of the knees. Gently encouraging more space and length with your breath. Walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then being in the best downward facing dog of this moment, nothing moving but the breath. And we'll go through the vinyasa, any version you want, including none at all, or maybe coming into child pose. I'm just going to do my usual kneeling plank to chaturanga. And then we'll all be back in downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg up, reaching long through the heels. Bending the right knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. And through to the lunge. This long line from the top of the head out that left heel. And then we'll bring the left knee down and Jayasana. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And circling the arms all the way around and back up overhead. And Namaste in front. Turning to the elephant rider. Pressing those knees wide. And then we will come around into the temple pose with the cactus arms, so the wide elbows. So we come up, straightening the legs, arms up overhead, and then bending the knees, pulling the elbows wide as well. So it's almost like the legs and arms are doing the same thing. And then reaching back up. And once more into the wide cactus arms. Pressing those outer knees back, a little press back with the outer elbow. And then we'll tip forward, straightening up the legs, keeping the outer rotation. And turning back to the right lunge, and let's bring our left knee down again, coming up in Jayasana. And this time we'll eagle pose the arms, bringing those arms around, right arm under, so you can hold the shoulders or wrapping those lower arms into eagle. And untwine the arms and into the pigeon, walking that right foot across, bringing the right knee down to the right, maybe sitting on a block. And in the cobra, lifting here, forward, up and over. And then sleeping pigeon, forward, long, and then coming up, and we'll just roll on to our right hip to bring the left leg around and expanding into the forward bend at the front of the mat. Breathing here. And then let's come up to standing, big front body yawn. Reaching wide around with the arms and bring the hands to Namaste and then let's come back over. Big lift up. And diving. Concave back halfway up. Folding over. Jumping or stepping back, vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And then we'll go around down the left, lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. Feeling that long, straight, extended right leg for a moment, and then bringing the knee down with strength, coming up in Jayasana. And circling the arms around and all the way back up overhead. Namaste in front. And turn you to the elephant rider. And then straightening up, spiraling up through the legs, arms coming up overhead, keeping that feeling of lifting even as we bend the elbows, pulling wide with the cactus arms, pulling wide with the knees, sometimes called the goddess pose or the god pose. And then straightening up again. And once more pulling wide. And then just tipping forward, straighten the legs, keeping the outer rotation. Just for a little different kind of stretch in the hamstrings than the parallel legs. And we'll turn to the left lunge into Jayasana again. And then we'll eagle pose the arms. This time, left arm coming under. You could hold the shoulders or all the way to the eagle pose. And releasing the arms. And to the pigeon, walking the left foot over to the right, bringing the left knee forward, maybe sitting on a block or a blanket or whatever you have. And inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And coming forward and over, sleeping pigeon. Feeling every moment of every breath. And calming up. And we'll swing the right leg around and coming up into the forward. Ah. And all the way up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to Namaste. All right, and here we are at the front of the mat. And let's come over. Big swoop. Whoops, nope, sorry. Coming back to Namaste in front. All right. Ah. And let's release the hands. And then we're going to take a side bend. The left arm coming up and over to the right. And a big inhale, pulling that left shoulder open, and exhale, bend the knees, reaching on the right diagonal down and around to the center. And then we'll step back with that left leg, coming up in the warrior number one. Scooping the tailbone down and forward, taking the upper body up and over. Look a little like doing a bridge pose here. And then bringing the arms down, and we'll interlock the fingers behind. Rolling the shoulders out, lifting even more up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. Scooping even a little more down and forward with the tail. And releasing those arms back up overhead. Namaste in front. And into the floor. Bringing the left heel up in the lunge, and we'll pick the right leg up in the hover plank. And then up to three-legged dog. So you can always just step back to downward facing dog and lift the right leg, dog at the high fire hydrant. And we're going to fly to the pigeon, though first, if you want, waterfall into the wild thing. Questionable whether this counts as gentle vinyasa to do this, but you don't have to. And then we will all be in the pigeon, taking the right knee to the right elbow to the pigeon again. And a few breaths cobra in. And coming forward and over. Feeling of the moment, letting that breath move through the body. Little subtle adjustments. As things change as we continue to stay in the shape, some parts of our body let go, other parts actually start to resist and tighten up a little. And then calm up. And we'll roll to the side to swing our left leg around, coming up into the standing forward bend. Breathe in here. Whatever other little thing you want to do, maybe a bend and extend. A little squinging in the spine. And then we will come up to standing. Big front body yawn. And around, so namaste. Inhale and exhale, namaste, steadiness. And we'll release the hands, and then we're going to take the right arm side bending up and over to the left. And the big inhale, pulling that right shoulder a little more open. And then onto the diagonal left, bending the knees, bringing yourself over and forward and stepping back with the right leg. And we will come up in the warrior number one. And that bridge posing action there. So our tailbone actually does kind of end up going a little back, pointing back, but it's working energetically as if it's scooping forward. And then we'll bring those arms down and interlocking the fingers, lifting up. And when we lift up, we tend to straighten our left leg and come up a little bit. So pressing back down, pressing that pelvis forward. And also think like that pelvis is stretched onto over the block, like we did at the beginning. And releasing the hands back up overhead. Namaste in front. And into the floor. Oh, into the floor. Almost forgot the hover plank. Ah. Three-legged dog. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Maybe taking a little side trip into waterfall to the wild thing. And then we'll all make our way to the pigeon. Bringing the left knee to the left elbow. Ah. And taking a few breaths, lifting up and over. Coming forward and nice big round breaths. Every moment your pigeon pose here is subtly different than the moment before. Sometimes there's a really big shift that you feel, and it's a not so subtle difference. And then coming up, and we'll swing that leg down, coming back up into the forward. Breathing here. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to Namaste. And then we'll Utkatasana, the chair pose. Hinging back, reaching forward. So maybe reaching forward with the arms is enough. We're doing that extra work in the upper back to get those upper arms up by the ears. And let's twist left first. Wide arms. Breathing down through the right arm, breathing up through the left. And then around down to Namaste. And back to the center. And extending the arms forward. And we'll twist to the right. Wide arms. Reaching down through the left arm, up through the right. And then bringing that right hand around to Namaste. And Namaste in the center. And reaching forward again, pulling a little more down and back in the hips. And releasing over. Concave back, halfway up, folding over. Vinyasa, downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg up. Through to the lunge. And coming up in the warrior number 2. Wide and flat between the walls. And dancing warrior, bringing the right arm up. And then make sure you stay in the lunge, pulling forward through the right inner thigh, up the inner knee. And into the triangle Trikonasana. Reaching down through the right arm, reaching up through the left, like that twist. Maybe this is good if you want a little more challenge, bringing that left hand around and into Namaste. And if you're in Namaste, expand the arms again, reaching the left arm long and over the ear, and then pulling down to the floor, and we'll come into the pigeon. Inhale and exhale, big circle of breath. Coming forward and over. And come up. And we'll swing that left leg around to come up in the forward bend. And then from here, we'll just concave back, folding over, through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then we'll go around with the left leg, lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge, warrior number 2. Checking that alignment, pulling wide. And then dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up and away. And don't let the lunge come with you. Pull that lunge down and forward. Kind of a sideways version of the same kind of thing we were doing in the warrior one. Finding those opposing forces. And then tilting into the triangle. Reaching down through the right arm, reaching up through the left. Feeling that twisting to the rightness. And then maybe for a little more challenge into the Namaste hands. And then expanding the arms out again. Reaching that right arm over the ears, stretching that right side long. And pulling down and into the pigeon. Ah. All right, a few breaths, big circle of breath up and over and around. And then coming forward and coming up. And we'll swing that right leg around, but we're not going to stand up. Here we are. And let's roll down to the floor. Ah. All right, good. Bridge posing here on the floor. Pressing the feet into the floor, scooping that tailbone up, interlocking the. And coming down. And then we'll do the figure four bridge pose. So if you want, you can get the block on its perhaps highest height to do a supported bent knee bridge pose, and then just put the right leg across in the figure four up there, or going to it from here, and where we'll cross the right leg over. We'll press away with the right outer knee, but keeping that pelvis square and pulling up. And then breathing. And come down. Ah. And we'll switch legs. Left leg is crossed over. So feeling that press away with the left outer knee, but keeping that pelvis level at the same time as we lift up. And rolling down. Ah, disentangle the legs and let them slide out. Just being easeful on the floor a moment. Squinching out, shaking out anything that needs it. Ah. And then let's just pull the knees into the chest, round your knees to the nose. And then we'll set the feet down wide at the edges of the mat, arms out to the side. So we're going to do the windshield wiper, dropping the knees to the side. A little bit of an angle here. All right. So that when I drop my knees over to the right, the left knee is not touching the right leg. Not quite as much twist in the spine as when we have our legs stacked, but a little more inner rotation on the left hip joint, and a kind of perhaps interesting stretch along the side front of that left leg. And rolling through the center, dropping the knees over to the left. And you might actually be feeling it more on the left inner thigh there out to the side. And breathing here. And roll into the center. Let's go back and forth a couple times. Right, pause, through the center, left, and pause. Maybe two more sets, or however many, depending on how fast or slow you're going. And center. And we will slide those legs out, giving them a shake and into Shavasana. Inhale and exhale, letting go of all effort, just resting into the and then breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting circulation going. Stretching your arms up overhead. Bend your knees. And gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.